I better put a disclaimer on this one, because if you're a true cult, if you have ever unironically called somebody a scene tourist, if you like it so raw that it's only acceptable recorded on a Jensen cassette deck, this is probably not for you. But if you like highly artistic black metal, I got you. Welcome, metalheads. I'm the host of Heavy Metal Philosophy and writer for Metal Digest, Jon Barbas, and this is my top 10 best black metal albums of 2024, including, once again, the Dealer's Choice segment at the end. So let's not waste time. Let's get it now. Coming in at number 10, Mork with Civ. And this album skirts the fine line between pure black metal and prog. It never gets too bloated or pretentious, so I would stop short of calling it prog, but you will hear riffs and melodies on this one that you won't hear on any other black metal record that isn't prog. You've got songs with pull-off arpeggios and other songs with Opeth-like passages. And then there's another song, I think it's called Till Sevinde Augsist. I definitely mispronounced that text on the screen, and as always, every band's Bandcamp links will be in the description. But this song with its epic movements is worth the price of admission alone. This is a fantastic record, and between this project, Mork, and his other project, Udad, Thomas Eriksson has proven himself once again to be at the top of the Norwegian black metal mountain. Coming in at number 9, from Sweden, Dödsrit with Nocturnal Will. And the reason why I love this one is because of the blend of black metal and crust punk, but it also has a musicality to it that I don't normally get from more punk-oriented albums. And I also love the production on this. It's not super polished, it's not overproduced, it's produced the right amount. Everything is recorded with clarity, and each instrument sits in its proper frequency, so I can hear the differences between them. But not only that, I can hear the articulation of the individual instruments, not only between each other, but also the notes that they are playing themselves. That's what I'm talking about. I don't subscribe to this true cult black metal ethos of raw production sounding more aggressive. No, what you write and what you play is what makes you sound aggressive or atmospheric or whatever it is you're after. Simply sounding like shit doesn't make you sound aggressive. And in fact, if you cleared up the production, it would reveal what you're actually doing. And that separates the wheat from the chaff on actually aggressive or trying to mask not being aggressive. Definitely, Dödsrit fits in that category of actually being aggressive. Go check it out. Coming in at number 8, from Washington State, Holder with Verses in Oath. Quite a mature record for their only second LP. It's got all the tremolo-picked ferocity of their other black metal peers, but then a whole lot more. You've got multiple instrumentation, even a few halftime sections, which is something I'm quite unused to from black metal, but this has it. I love the dark fantasy synths on this one. I got the pleasure to photograph this band while they were on the Decibel magazine tour, and I got some of my favorite shots I've ever done at a black metal show. And after I left that show, I had the melody from the song you're hearing in the background right now stuck in my head for weeks. Love this one. You will too if you check it out. Coming in at number 7, from Greece, Rotting Christ with Pro Christo. And this record continues and perfects the direction that the band's been heading ever since the Heretics and Rituals. But now it has a cinematic feel to it, because this record is almost a concept record. It sounds like the soundtrack to a tale about old pagan kings trying their last stand as Christian takeover is happening throughout all the lands. You've got sounds of battle here and Rotting Christ's trademark Benedictine choirs, and now you've also got a stoic narrator telling the tale of these different stories. Just fantastic, grand, epic. I would like to see this album as a stage play with headbanging. Coming in at number 6, from Washington State, from Minnesota, and Chicago. We've got Amiinsis with Reclamation Part 1 and Part 2. That's right, I'm cheating a little bit and putting 2 albums in this spot, but they go together, so we'll just count them as one. And they both came out in the same year, which is incredible to put out 2 full lengths in the same year. But let's talk about how it sounds. I love this record because here we have an American black metal band that's not trying to sound like their Scandinavian heroes. We finally are starting to get an American black metal sound. This record doesn't sound frigid, and instead of misanthropic, it sounds triumphant and adventurous. You've got clean and heavy parts. You've got wild western guitars and even a fiddle. And some black metal purists might say, that's not real black metal, to which I say, good. This is a band breaking the rules, or probably more likely just not considering them to begin with, which black metal can only be better for. And then you've got the second album, which isn't just a continuation of the first. It sounds like the next act, and it has more of a traditional black metal feel, but with a fantastical prog element put into it, giving it like a 1-2 punch on this Part 1 and Part 2 double album, we'll call it, even though they didn't come out at the same time. Definitely you want to check out Amiinsis Reclamation Part 1 and Part 2. Coming in at number 5, from Portugal, Garia with Coma. Now, how does a black metal band become as successful and soar to the heights that Garia has without drawing the ire of the true cult hordes? Well, you do that by releasing records like Mirage last time and Coma this time. They're so good, they're undeniable. Nobody can fault Garia for their success. These records, they are melodic, but they're not accessible. It's like magic. It's what it is. It's a band at the top of their game, presenting human emotion, ranging from mystery to perseverance and even a bit of revelry in their misanthropy. This record is soaring. Like, the vocal aggression from the last record is here on this one, but the music behind it seems lifted. And I think that's because of the guitar harmonies that they incorporated this time, with relentless drums going on underneath. This record seems like the band planted a flag in the ground, and that flag is a statement that says Garia is the vanguard of black metal's future. Coming in at number 4, from Norway, the legend Ihsahn with his self-titled album. And when I describe other records as being cinematic, I kind of have to rethink that after having listened to this album. Ihsahn wanted the orchestral parts to stand on their own, even without the guitar. A lot of black metal bands have orchestra in it, but it's really just strings holding the tonic or a little bit of accent on top of the guitars, but these stand on their own. To prove it, Ihsahn also released every song on the record as a standalone with just the orchestra and no guitars and no singing. And you could easily go somewhere and listen to an orchestra play this album in sort of a black tie, night on the town kind of evening. But then it's not just about the orchestra. The guitars are also at some of the most progressive in his career. He does a bit of clean singing. This is a strong flex from one of the titans of black metal, and I would not be surprised to see this one as many people's overall album of the year. Check out Ihsahn with his self-titled record, and it's got antlers on it. You know I love it. Coming in at number 3, from New York, Folterkammer with Vibermont. And this one is special because of Andromeda Anarchia's classically trained operatic vocals, which lifts what is normally quite an abrasive genre into high art. And yes, there's the tremolo pick guitars here, but they're arranged differently. It's almost like Baroque arrangements. You've got 3-point harmonies. You've got harpsichord interludes. You've got evil cantatas here. And the subject matter is about powerful women, which is that Weibermacht album title translates into basically bitch power. I translated it as women power, but I spoke to Andromeda and she corrected me on that one. So I'm learning German. I've been trying to learn for the past year. So let's see if my translations are correct. Start with the band name, Volterhammer, with the F is torture chamber.
Yeah, Folterkammer is torture chamber, correct.
Okay, and then the name of the album that drops this Friday is Weibermacht, and that's women power.
Yes. Well, the word vibe is a bit more rude than Frau. Normally it's Frau, right?
Yeah.
Frau, singular, Frauen, plural. But vibe or Weiber is a bit more rude. It's like when a man thinks a woman is not attractive or she's annoying or, you know, or ugly, something like this, then he called her a vibe. And I think I would rather translate it to something like bitch power, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like something in between bitch and woman. Yeah, I think that's where it should be placed.
I'll go with the expert on that, but it's about dominatrixes and historical figures like this one woman who was a sword fighter who killed a dude but was pardoned by the Sun King himself, Louis XIV. Really cool content. Awesome sounds here, and also I love Andromeda's growl. You know, we just did the Nick Nocturnal Awards, and one of the categories was the best blah. Well, she has a growl, and I like it because blah is standard. Hers is unique to her own. The band is unique to their own, so that's why it's high up on the list. Folterkammer with Weibermacht. Coming in at number 2, from Australia, Aquilis with Bellum 2. And longtime subscribers might recognize that. That's right, it is the sequel to my 2021 black metal album of the year, Bellum 1. And once again, Aquilis is back with dense arrangements and compositions. You've got strings and piano, and then I think this record even has a few better riffs, more memorable riffs, but I'm really here for the orchestra on this one. This is a bit more highbrow black metal. I would contend, just like the Asan record, that the orchestra on this would stand alone as well, although he didn't have the temerity to prove it like Asan did. Still, excellent record here. I love how I don't know what to expect because it's not verse, chorus. It's classical music. It's arranged in movements and should be listened to as such, but it's also evil black metal. And hey, before we do number 1, I just got one thing I want to say to you. If you love metal the way that I love metal, then you're in the right place and you should join the Heavy Metal Philosophy community, because that's all we do here is talk about the best new metal and analyze metal life. So if that sounds appealing to you, join me. Now let's do number 1. My favorite black metal record this year, number 1 from Sweden, Kavajan with the Formless Fires. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I picked this one because of the guitars. I love guitars. And that old adage about black metal not having riffs rings hollow here. So many riffs and so many guitar solos. I love the screaming guitar leads over the blackened ferocity. This record is like a love letter to trad metal and mythology and Sweden itself. It's got thrashy grooves and epic chants. Just real high energy. You can't help but get your mood lifted, which is odd for black metal, but this one will do it to you. It'll have you headbanging, it'll have you playing air guitar, and it'll have you admiring the compositions as well. That's why I'm picking it number 1. Make sure you check out Kavajan. And we're not done, because I've got a real weird dealer's choice. All right, longtime subscribers will know that one of the rules around here is I don't do EPs and singles. I'm only one man. I don't have enough time to cover all the EPs and singles that come out every year, so we only do full albums here. However, Dealer's Choice allows me to break the rules. So for the Album of the Year Black Metal Edition episode, the Dealer's Choice is going to be the new EP from Los Angeles, California's Agriculture called Living is Easy. And here we are once again with an American black metal band taking the genre and making it their own, not just trying to copy their Scandinavian heroes. This one, it does have the tremolo picking, it does have the fry screaming, but instead of sounding cold, this is warm. The band calls it ecstatic black metal. It does sound ecstatic. A lot of it is in a major key, which is a big black metal no-no, but there's also a song about being eaten by a tiger. It's got like clean strums. It kind of reminds me of bluegrass a little bit. There's a spoken word section at the end of the EP where one of the lyrics talks about something being sweet like okra, which just shook my southern soul. So I absolutely love Agriculture. I love that they're breaking the rules, making happy black metal. Although if you read the lyrics, maybe it's not so happy, but it is ecstatic. And when you live in a bleak world, being ecstatic about its more macabre elements might be a good way to look at it. And before we close the show with the riff of the week, I gotta let you know that this year's Album of the Year series continues next week. Next week, we're breaking down the best death metal albums of the year. So if you want to be here for that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Check out the merch in the merch store, links in the description. But most importantly, read philosophy, listen to metal. I love you.